Even as the Emperor reunited with the most psychically powerful of his genetic sons, the one-eyed Magnus the Red, across the galaxy another of his Primarchs was assailed by prophetic visions. He saw in his mind's eye a shining, majestic figure clad in bronze armor, a being he believed to be a god. Driven by his belief in this being, he used the superhuman capabilities that only a Primarch possessed to set his world and its people on a new path. But the consequences of his vision would one day alter the destiny of the entire galaxy. That Primarch's world was called Colchis. It was an arid planet that lay deep to the galactic west. Colchis had once been a highly advanced world during the Age of Technology, but the hardships of Old Night had reduced it to a pre-industrial civilization dominated by feudal traditions and a single, ruling faith called the Covenant. The gestation capsule of the Primarch, who fell to Colchis in a streak of fire, was discovered by Fan Morgal, the chieftain of a nomadic tribe of desert outcasts known as the Declined. They named the strange, golden-skinned child they found within Lorgar, which meant Rainmaker in the Colchisian tongue. But the kindly Declined were not the ones who would raise the infant demigod. Only days later there came among the desert nomads a man named Kor Phaeron, a priest who had been exiled from the Covenant for advocating forced conversions. As he gave a sermon to the outcasts, he noticed Lorgar, already grown to the size of a small child, standing among them. Kor Phaeron immediately recognized the boy's extraordinary potential and decided to claim him for his own. He had the members of his caravan of exiles murder Fan Morgal and massacre his people, so that no others would learn of Lorgar's existence. With Kor Phaeron as his adoptive father, Lorgar was raised to believe in the ways of the Covenant, also called the Old Faith. It was a polytheistic religion that worshipped a group of 4 deities called the Great Powers. It had roots in many human cultures scattered across thousands of worlds. The gods were said to make their home in the spiritual realm called the Empyrean. This was a place of infinite possibility that in other cultures was called heaven. Central to the Old Faith was the story of the pilgrimage, the legendary journey of 4 great prophets into the Imperium, where they had met with the Great Powers and gained wisdom. Kor Phaeron, eager to end his exile and gain control over the Covenant, believed Lorgar to have been chosen by the Great Powers. He trained him in the theology of the Old Faith in the hopes of using his extraordinary abilities to one day supplant the Covenant's ruling priests. In their time together, Lorgar became devoted to both Kor Phaeron and the old priest's faith. The young Primarch ravenously consumed any information about it. To Kor Phaeron's surprise, Lorgar began to have his own mystical visions that he proved eager to share with the people of Colchis. He was plagued over and over again by the sight of a great, golden warrior in gleaming bronze armor. He wielded a flaming sword and came to Colchis accompanied by a one-eyed giant in blue robes. Lorgar came to believe that these visions were of a divine being he named the One. This was the one true God of humanity who bound together the great powers of the Covenant. Filled with the passion of a true convert, Lorgar began to preach to the people of Colchis, and his superhuman charisma won thousands of converts. Kor Phaeron at first disbelieved his foster son and discouraged what he believed to be blasphemy. But as Lorgar's crowds grew in size and fervor, the priest feared losing influence with his ward. So he told Lorgar that he too had come to believe in the One as the overlord of the Old Faith's traditional gods. But in truth, Kor Phaeron kept secrets from Lorgar, including his leading role in a hidden sect called the Dark Heart. When the time was right, the Dark Heart intended to see the great powers restored to their rightful place in the people's hearts. But Lorgar's visions of the One only intensified until one day he proclaimed that the god was soon to come to Colchis. As the news of the imminent arrival of the One reached each settlement, Lorgar's faith spread like wildfire. Many left the Old Faith behind. These mass conversions were a dire threat to the rule of the Covenant. But its priests, long fearful of the threat to the political status quo represented by Lorgar, saw them as an opportunity. Determined to finally remove the danger the Primarch represented, they sent troops to arrest Lorgar on a charge of heresy. But Lorgar's followers struck back and killed the Covenant's men before they could lay a hand on their beloved prophet. The Covenant split into 2 factions, the original followers of the Old Faith and those who served the One known as the Brotherhood of Lorgar. Colchis was consumed by a vicious holy war that lasted for 6 years and was remembered as the Schism Wars. The terrible bloodshed only came to an end when Lorgar and his believers stormed the great temple of the Covenant called the Cathedral of Illumination in the sacred capital city of Varadesh. Though Lorgar had once been trained there, his forces showed no mercy and killed all the monks of the Old Faith who lay within. It is said that during the Schism Wars, or immediately after, 1 in 3 of the people of Colchis had turned against Lorgar. In response, the Brotherhood's fanatical warrior monks, handpicked by Lorgar, carried out a great purge against all remaining dissenters. Lorgar Aurelian, the golden-skinned, shaven-headed warrior prophet of the One, was now the Urizen, meaning the wisest of the wise. Kor Phaeron was proclaimed the new high priest of the Covenant. Colchis belonged to them. Less than a year after Lorgar's victory, a landing craft carrying the Emperor of Mankind and the Primarch Magnus the Red, accompanied by 2 squads of Thousand Sun Space Marines, descended from orbit and landed in Varadesh. Lorgar immediately recognized both men from his visions. He bent on one knee and swore fealty to his father and creator. At the same time, the entire population of the Holy City sank to their knees, at last basking in the presence of the one God of humanity. Lorgar made sure that every facet of the Covenant's belief structure was reorganized around the worship of the Emperor as the God and Savior of humanity. The Colchisian people enthusiastically welcomed entry into what they saw as the divinely ordained Imperium of Man. As the Emperor's arrival represented the culmination of Lorgar's prophecies, months of celebration and worship services followed. The Emperor was deeply dismayed that the people of Colchis saw him as a god, but they had only recently been reunited under the leadership of his son. That unity was still fragile. To avoid any repeat of the violence, he believed it best that they be brought to an understanding of the atheistic imperial truth slowly, if surely. Yet the Covenant's faith changed rapidly to accommodate the Emperor. The Canticles of the Covenant, the sacred scriptures of the faith, were now transformed into the foundation of a cult of emperor worship that would in later years become widespread across the galaxy. One tenet of the faith was unquestioning obedience to the god emperor. The master of mankind intended to use this belief for his own ends. He would direct his newfound son to pursue the proper course in the Great Crusade against religion and superstition. For Lorgar Aurelian would take command of the 17th Legion of Space Marines. These were the Imperial Heralds, a legion called the Iconoclasts by their fellow Astartes. Unlike the other legions, the 17th had been named at their founding. That they should be singled out was not an honor. It was intended to cement their purpose in the Emperor's vision. When enemies stood against the Imperium due to their faith in gods or other superstitions of old night, it was the Imperial Herald's duty to deliver the Emperor's decree. To the fortresses of religious demagogues and cults, a lone warrior of the 17th Legion always came. Wearing black power armor and a skull-faced helm, armed with an eagle-winged mace, this herald spoke of the imperial truth offered by the Emperor and the futility of resistance to it. By persuasion or conquest, such foes always fell to the Legion. When the battle was done, the Imperial Herald sought out all works which spoke of sorcery, false gods, and irrational superstitions. They emptied entire libraries and divided the contents into truth and lies, with the latter to be consumed in purifying flame. It was for this reason that the 17th Legion had earned their better-known moniker of the Iconoclasts. The Emperor intended for Lorgar to lead the Imperial Heralds into bringing an end to the irrational faiths and beliefs that fed the power of chaos across the galaxy. But Lorgar Aurelian would not be changed by his legion. Instead, he would reshape it in his own fanatical mold. Lorgar gladly accepted command over his gene-sons in the Imperial Heralds after a brief period of education and acculturation in the ways of the Imperium. He brought Kor Phaeron with him, raising his foster father to the rank of first captain of the Legion after he was transformed into a superhuman warrior through the use of advanced genetic techniques. But in those early years, Lorgar still hid his faith in the Emperor as a god. He never openly stated it, but also never recanted it. He repeatedly praised the Emperor's vision and his plan for mankind. But he also never denounced the growing belief among many that the Emperor was divine. Lorgar dutifully condemned mystical practices and the falseness of countless other gods, but on the nature of his father the Emperor, he always remained silent. One of the more tangible changes Lorgar wrought in the Legion was to dramatically increase the importance of ceremony and ritual. The black-armored and skull-helmed heralds of the Old Legion were were given new authority over their brethren to ensure their moral strength. These officers, called chaplains, taught the way of truth not just to the conquered, but to those who forced them to bend the knee. The chaplains, at the direction of their Primarch, subtly altered the counsel they gave their brothers to promote religious belief. New structures were created in the organization of the Legion which seemed to be similar to those found in others. Yet, in truth, these were actually intended to propagate faith in the divine emperor throughout the ranks. Lorgar's command of the 17th Legion changed little on the surface, but the Legion's original culture was profoundly transformed. He made sure that the old ways of devoted service were not enough. Devotion to the Imperium's ideals was not enough. Even victory was not enough. The Imperial Heralds now fought to feel the fire of truth burning in their souls, the burning certainty of the fanatic. It might seem strange to outsiders that warriors who had once fought to cast down gods now came to embrace that very same belief. But the Imperial Heralds were fanatics. At their core, they did not need to serve a specific cause. They only needed to feel the fire of any cause burning in their hearts. Reason alone was simply not enough to feed the hunger in their souls. The course of the Great Crusade itself also allowed Lorgar to convert his legion to belief in the Emperor's divinity. As attrition took its toll on the 17th Legion, Lorgar, like the other Primarchs, replaced his losses by recruiting new Astartes from his homeworld. In time, the blood of the iconoclastic Imperial Heralds was diluted with that of Colchis and other worlds on the edge of the Legion's conquest. These were Space Marines who had never been to Terra and had no knowledge of the Legion's original culture. They accepted what they were taught by their Primarch and chaplains because it was the only truth offered. In the case of those from Colchis, faith in the divine was already ingrained in them from the moment of their birth. Finally, when the last of the Imperial Heralds had embraced the new faith and the last of the Terran-born iconoclasts had died, Lorgar ritualistically changed the name of the 17th Legion. The Imperial Heralds became the Word-Bearers. But the message they now brought was not the imperial truth, but belief in the God Emperor who ruled and guided mankind. As new worlds fell to the Word-Bearers, their people were brought to believe that the Emperor was a god. Amidst the devastation the Legion had wrought, they raised new temples and cathedrals to the God Emperor. The Legion's chaplains and mortal preachers trained by them went among the conquered to tell them of the living God who now ruled them. Lorgar himself delivered sermons that converted millions to the new faith on the strength of his words alone. And, as on Colchis, those who dissented, those who rejected the gift of faith, were purged without mercy. Though it took some time, the changes to the 17th Legion and its prosecution of the Great Crusade did not go unnoticed. Rumors of the Word-Bearers' actions eventually reached the War Council, which sent agents to investigate. What they found along the Legion's path of conquest horrified the Emperor. The Word-Bearers had turned their backs on the imperial truth. The iconoclasts had been transformed by their Primarch into agents of the superstition and tyranny that nearly destroyed humanity during Old Night. Though it pained him, the Emperor knew he had no choice. He would have to rectify the problem personally.